Happy New Year, Source Players. It's 2025. We're in another year. I hope everybody's year is starting off on the right foot. So I want to start out this video by making sure I'm giving you guys recommendations. Are you following Infinite Source Truth? Are you following Endless Life of Endless Bliss? Are you following Neutral Centered One? Are you following Source Now? I believe that's the right one. I will make sure that I put them in the comment, in the description of this video. I recommend these channels. Obviously, Infinite Source Truth, I always recommend his channels because he's putting out a lot of useful, helpful insight into his videos to help us along the way, help you along the way. Judy's channel does not put any more publicly facing videos out. So this is for those that want some supplemental content. Of course, you should also be following Quartz Crystal to make sure you get all of the benefit from her videos and supporting people as much as you can. Ema, who is Life of Endless Bliss, she puts out hypnosis videos, and those are very good for boosting. And then you have Neutral Centered One. She goes into a lot more detail about some other things about, being source and very helpful. And in particular, she put out one recently about the whole liver cleanse thing. And that's kind of where I want to talk today about the liver cleanse. Over the holiday, I had a 10-day house sit, and I figured during that time I would do a cleanse because I had like 3 days available. I had 3 days off because one of my days off fell on one of the holidays. So my company gives me a day in lieu of that day. So I had 3 days off in a row. So okay, I'm going to do a cleanse. I didn't really prep too much ahead of time. And I think that's kind of where I went wrong. But also now in hindsight, I think the day after, I did not take my final 4th drink of Epsom salt. And that's why I didn't have any stones pass during this last cleanse. This is probably, if I can think off the top of my head, my 5th cleanse. And I honestly don't know how much success I've had. And if you're going to put your body through this traumatic experience, that's how I view it. I'm sorry. I mean, I've tried to be positive about it. I know that the end results obviously are going to be beneficial, but going through it, I'm often, it's very hard for me to maintain joy. Okay. I'm just going to say it because it really does a number on my body, right? The whole process, okay, first of all, Epsom salt is very bitter. It is a very bitter taste. Now, the child avatar, as a baby, the avatar as a baby and as a child has this developmental, what's the word that I'm looking for? That hold on. Has this evolutionary mechanism that when you're little, you don't like the bitter things because bitter often signified like a poisonous plant or something like that. So poison, so you tend to not like these things as children. And then as you get older, your palate changes and you learn to discover that like some bitter foods or some bitterness is not necessarily a bad thing and you learn to like it. However, that instinct, that evolutionary thing that's in the avatar is still there. So for me personally, putting the Epsom salt into my body, my stomach has a visceral reaction. I find it extremely off-putting, and this might be the case for you as well. So this is just to kind of help you through this. Now, the liver cleanse that I am following is one that my friend Will told me about. There's also the one that Judy had mentioned originally in her channel. There's different ones, but this one involves using apple juice and having apple juice for like several days before you go into your cleanse because the malic acid of the apple juice helps to soften up the gallstones. Also, you could take a large quantity of apple juice at one time. It doesn't talk about this in the cleanse itself, but I know this from practice the pectin in the apple juice can have the same kind of like diuretic effect of having like the Epsom salt. So overall, it's like a good complementary thing to be drinking. So this time what I did was I mixed my Epsom salts directly into apple juice because I wanted to lessen the bitterness of the Epsom salts. It lessened it slightly. In addition to that, what I did was I added salt, like sea salt. It was sea salt or kosher salt, like something that's like a bigger crystal salt, but you don't want to do like rock salt size. You want to do like I said, like a kosher salt, like a flaky. And I did this because of like chemistry, science, kind of like culinary chemistry, if you will. Okay. Alton Brown, who's a renowned American chef on Food Network, he shared a tip a long time ago about making your coffee less bitter by putting salt into it. And there's a chemical thing that happens with like salty and bitter and salty and like acid. You can counteract these tastes by using one or the other. So if you have something that's very bitter, adding salt is going to lessen the bitterness. And you would think, okay, well, Epsom salt is magnesium. Salt is sodium chloride. So these are different things. So putting salt into it, I would say took the bitterness from like 100% down to like 65%, if I could say. It was maybe 70%. Let's go 70%. So it did cut it down significantly, but it was still bitter. And I would also recommend that you do not use a straw, that you just chug it. If you're doing it all in one glass, you break it down into thirds of what you should drink and hold your thumb to where that point in the glass is and chug it down as fast as you can and get it down, because it's repulsive. For lack of a better word, this stuff is repulsive. And that is why I have put these off for so long. And I've only done like 3 or 4 in the past. And they were just not pleasant experiences. The other thing is too, in this book, and I'm going to link that one as well, you could do magnesium citrate. That is not a very pleasant thing as well, but they've learned to make it taste better. Like the grape flavor is really honestly like the best flavor in my personal opinion for my palate. But with magnesium citrate, even with, if you do Epsom salt, having the contents cold as you could possibly chill it without it being frozen will help significantly with both of them. Even after you've done it, the apple juice, and after you've put salt in it, whatever. Drink it down in your first your first drink that down. Follow it with something to get that taste out of your mouth, like apple juice, more apple juice. And then, wait your 2 hours, whatever, like that. And then do your second drink. And again, chase it with apple juice. And then, you do your third and chase it with apple juice. Just something to get the bitterness out of your taste. So then the cleanse is at 10 o'clock. You're going to do your grapefruit juice and olive oil drink, and then you're going to lay down. Here's my thing with that, okay? Because all the Epsom salt prior to that, I still had to use the bathroom after 10 o'clock. So it prolonged me from being able to get in bed and actually rest. Like every time I got laid down, I had to get up and go. So maybe start your cleanse at 4 p.m. and not 6 p.m. Because if you got to do you're going to need that time. That's a 6-hour window. And you're going to take your last drink, like they tell you take your last drink at like 9:45, and then you're going to drink your olive oil at 10 o'clock. No, it's not going to work out for you. So I would recommend, making sure your body's not like revolting on you, and you can stay in place for longer so that you can lay on your right side and kind of just go to sleep for the night. And then in the morning, make sure you do your final drink. I didn't do my final drink, and I think that's why I didn't get any stones out. The other thing I'm going to recommend is to visualize seeing your gallbladder pushing stones out into your duodenum, into your digestive tract. And I think that is going to help, whether you do that like a day or two before going into the cleanse. It's a good thing to visualize it to make sure you're going to have success, because I'm going to try it again and see how everything goes. Maybe I'll, do one today or something like that and just get into it. So those are some recommendations that I can offer up, because you want it to be productive. You want to have a productive result if you're going to put your body through this trauma. And these are important to do because you're going to have a stagnation in your frequency if you don't continue on with them. And you really want to hopefully win your game and have your best life yet. That's what I personally want. And I also want to open my soul cage. So I know that these are the things that are stopping me at this point. So you have to be aware of what's stopping you. Anyway, I hope this is helpful. And on to a fantastic 2025. Despite anything that is going on, we know better. We're source players. This doesn't affect us. And stay well and have a great year.